Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. So in a recent video I talked some about non-engagement responses for OCD and anxiety, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about rumination and worry and another skill we can apply to these things. So whether you have OCD or generalized anxiety disorder or just general anxiety that's maybe not as serious as the others, but these are skills that we can all apply. So with worry, we're focusing on future events. It's all the what ifs, the catastrophizing, imagining the worst case scenario. And then we have rumination, which is focusing on past scenarios, past events. And this can lead to a lot of really uncomfortable emotions. So there can be some sadness there, depression, shame, guilt, and we can actually feel some regret as well of what I should have done, what I shouldn't have done. But this can also lead to false memories with OCD because, it gets more elaborate the more we get involved with rumination. It just takes on a life of its own. And as an OCD sufferer myself, we've got some imagination. OCD goes to town with it all, and it can add things in that actually didn't happen, and it really muddies the water when we get so involved with this rumination. So we're constantly going over information and we're trying to problem solve, and this is what these things are about, so worry and rumination. We're trying to figure things out, but we're getting nowhere. And we're just going round and around in circles. We're just getting increased thoughts as well. This is the thing, it leads to more frequent thoughts, prolonging the whole distress. And, it just makes everything bigger. It makes the problems bigger. And when there isn't really a problem there, we're just making a mountain out of a molehill. Have you heard that saying, It's quite a good one here. We're just making more problems than there needs to be because there really isn't a problem. We're just involving ourselves to a degree that we don't need to. So I wanted to talk about a strategy in this video that really helps with rumination and worry for OCD anxiety based disorders. So like GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder, which I have been diagnosed with, as well as OCD. So with rumination and worry, it's very confusing. It just all gets very unclear the more we get involved with it, and we lose the ability to think clearly, and we often retreat from life. So that can look like we just go into our own little world, and we don't get anything done. We don't participate with life. Our world just gets so much smaller because we're just constantly trying to work everything out, getting nowhere. And the more we involve ourselves with rumination and worry, it can become habitual, and we don't realize we're doing it sometimes. I know I found myself in that place. I'm sure a lot of you can agree with that. But there is something we can do about this. So what can we do? We can become aware of when we're getting these repeating thoughts. We're going down that whole rabbit hole of rumination and worry, and we can really become more aware of when this is happening, because I think we can do that a lot of the time after the fact. Like I say, we're not even sure we're doing it, and then we're like, oh, I was down there. I was following all these thoughts and trying to work everything out. What's important when we apply this strategy? So the strategy we're talking about here is postponing worry and rumination. So you may have heard this before, and I think I may have mentioned this in some of my videos. But what's important when we apply this strategy is we don't try to stop our thoughts. I talk about metacognitive therapy and detached mindfulness. We let the thoughts be there, and we don't try and push them away, because that's just a surefire way of getting more of them bouncing back to us. But, this isn't easy, and, that can seem like a big leap if we're starting out with therapy. So whether we're doing metacognitive therapy or anything else that you're involved in, when we say don't get involved in thoughts, people can be a bit like, well, I'm going to find that really hard. And it is hard. But this is a great way of kind of bridging that gap a bit. And it's almost like bargaining with OCD and anxiety. We're saying, well, okay, so I can postpone this worry and rumination. I can do that later. So when we become aware of these thoughts, when we become aware of the rumination, the worry, we can acknowledge it. We know it's there, but we're going to deal with that later. So maybe you can apply a certain time of day, maybe in the evening when you've had your evening meal, you're relaxing after your dinner. You can apply 15 minutes to go over these worries and rumination. And, it's quite, the thing, you can still do it. You can still get involved with it, but just for a shorter amount of time. So we're not doing it all the time. It's like, it's not habitual. With habitual things like this, we don't even know we're involving ourselves. But when we can apply a time frame and say, like, at 7:00 this evening, I'm going to allow myself 50 minutes to ruminate over these things. And this is something that I have found helpful. And what I noticed was when I actually came to the time to do it, and I think, right, okay, and I'll sit down, let these thoughts come in, let them be there, and actually get involved in them this time. I'm going to use these 15 minutes to really think about these things. Then if this is something that works for you, every day you can then reduce that time. So maybe the next day you'll apply 10 minutes to actually ruminate and worry over these thoughts. And then steadily reduce that lower. Or you may even find you get to that time when you're going to postpone the worry and you think, I don't actually want to do that. You may find you want to carry on focusing on something else you were doing. Another tactic when you postpone worry and rumination is when you get to the time that you've allocated for yourself to actually involve yourself with these thoughts. Why don't you then say, well, I'll do that in the morning, I think. If you can, just leave it. Let it be there. And move it to the morning. And then when you get to the morning, you can then postpone it till the evening. And that might be a tactic to move on with the metacognitive therapy and detached mindfulness, where you're aware of the thoughts being there, but you're not involving yourself with them. And that might take a while till you're at that point. But using this allocation of time to actually use it to ruminate, and then when that time's over, then move forward with your day. So we're then going to be focusing our attention on your day-to-day activities, or maybe doing something fun and enjoyable like listening to music. So it's not really actively, it's not a distraction, this. We're just moving forward with our day how we would normally, and doing things that we enjoy is fine. We're not replacing anything here, and that's the important part. We're not replacing thoughts, we're letting them be there. We're not distracting ourselves, because that tactic isn't going to work for OCD and anxiety. So this is a brilliant way, and I think it's a really great tip to share with you, because this has helped me a lot in the past. And it just really gets you in that practice of leaving the thoughts alone and leaving it for another time. And when you can get in consistent practice with that, and then you can keep moving it along. So then we're then actually not engaging with it at all. But because you're kind of tricking your OCD and anxiety into thinking, well, I can have a bit of time with you later, we're much more able to leave it there rather than going all into metacognitive therapy, where we don't get involved at all. And that can seem like a bit of a leap at first. I understand it. It takes a lot of work and a lot of consistency to really get used to doing it this way, because like I say, these behaviours can become quite habitual over time, especially if you've had OCD and anxiety for a large portion of your life, and it's not always something we recognise easily. And it wasn't something that I recognised easily until I actually saw a therapist, and I realised a lot of these things that had become habit to me that I wasn't even aware of. So thanks for watching my channel today. I hope this video has helped you. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I do lots of videos around OCD and anxiety, and I really hope they can help you as much as all of these things have helped me along the way in my healing journey. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.